Good afternoon and welcome to Overcoming Adversity podcast, powered by Next Level Recovery Associates. I am Amanda Marino, the founder of Next Level Recovery Associates, and I'm here with my co-hosts and leadership team, Matt Williams and Sara Frias. Hey guys.
What's up?
Good morning. We have our first guest actually for season 2, and we're very, very excited to have Janine here. Would you like to say hello and introduce yourself, Janine?
Hi, I'm Janine Stella, founder of StellaMix Podcast Production, and I'm very excited to be here.
Welcome.
So Matt introduced us to Janine, and literally I've known Janine just a couple months, and I feel like you're someone I've known forever. You fit right in. I told Danielle, who works with us this morning, I'm like, I can't wait for you to meet Janine. She's just awesome and just has that vibe. And I feel like when you have a certain vibe, you attract people like that. And so, thanks for introducing us.
Absolutely.
That's what Matt does. Aw. I love you guys. I think when you find your tribe, your vibe attracts your tribe, so they say.
That is true.
I like that.
Yeah. And it's like we've already had so many vulnerable conversations in the short amount of time we've known each other. And I love
like
that.
Kindred spirit.
Well, no, I'm laughing because every time I come in, they're in this conversation that I'm like, oh, should I come back in a little bit?
I took my sandwich and I said,
You went and sat by
Our conversations would make Sara and Matt want to run.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, no, I love it. I'll get there.
So, what happened to get you to come on? You've heard us for, the past few months, and you and I had an open conversation. If we can just talk about how this organically fell into place would be awesome.
Sure. I have been recording you, and sometimes when I connect with a client of mine and their content, I instantly want to open up because I feel that it's a safe space for me to open up about my own personal journey. I think it's more challenging if people don't talk about that on a regular, and then it's kind of an awkward conversation. So I felt safe letting you all know. And I know that you help so many people in so many avenues. And when you mentioned you helped people with eating disorders, I thought it was really vital that I open up. And then I'm so happy that you actually invited me on to explain my story to you. We're excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think that, I'm not sure about you, Matt, but I know that, Sara and I as moms and women have had our own, struggles with body image, body dysmorphia, times where I've been crazy over exercise or super rigid with food and just punishing myself. So I've definitely been through my own version. I don't think it's what you have, but it gave me a lot of empathy, and it's really tough.
It's really tough. Yeah. No, I definitely struggle with body dysmorphia for sure. I was talking about it with a client the other day that struggles with body dysmorphia and what it looks like. It looks like it's totally different for everybody. Mine was, there was definitely times where I didn't eat for a while just in hopes I was skinny, or that I had to go to the gym even when I was sick, or whatever the case is. So I totally understand that.
I think it actually applies to men too, but usually it's rooted in fear and insecurity with yourself. Am I enough? Am I not enough? Am I doing enough? Can I do enough? Is it even worth it? Punishing, like what Amanda said, punishing yourself in the gym or with food is where do we learn that? Why are we doing that? And it's like, I can only relate to, it's like when I go out, I'll eat what I want to eat, not because I work out a lot or I feel good. It's just because I want to eat it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't eat pie, ice cream. Yeah, no, I'm a human being. I like sweets. I like what I like. And
It's not funny that people just assume that you don't have desserts in your life.
So you go to someone's house, like, oh, what do you want, grilled chicken? No, whatever you're making is fine. If it's something I don't want to eat, I'm not going to eat it.
It's funny you say that because I went out this weekend to dinner with a bunch of my girlfriends, and I said, oh, Matt told me he loves this place. And someone said, oh, what did Matt get here? And I'm like, probably something pasta. I thought it was a silly question, but
Funny thing is I don't eat pasta.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, I will, but it's not my go-to.
No, so I lied to everybody, basically.
Where'd you go again?
Yes.
Lenora's?
Lenora's,
Yeah, I told you.
Oh, my friends from
I
high
told
school
you
are
the
the
fried
owners.
mozzarella is what to get.
That's what you did.
I
Yeah,
said,
the
not
fried
pasta.
mozzarella, yeah.
Fried mozzarella and a lot of sauce.
That sounds amazing. We
It's
went
very
to
good.
Elisabetta's last night and
Oh,
had
love that place.
some yummy bolognese. It was good.
The rigatoni bolognese at Elizabeth's is out of control.
That's what we had. Yeah.
And the
so good.
appetizer,
Matt knows every restaurant in Delray
coccolo
Beach.
fritti.
That's what we had too. Okay. So
Matt
you're
knows.
my food spirit animal.
Yeah.
That's what we
I
ordered.
will eat plates of coccolo.
Me too.
Literally ricotta cheese, prosciutto, and zeppoli fried dough with salt on it.
And they gave a
Okay.
little honey and like there's a little hot sauce
Oh,
too
yeah.
that you can ask
Yeah.
for,
Oh, yeah.
and then the arancini balls with the truffle,
The rice balls.
rice
Rice balls.
Phil
Okay.
probably makes us.
Phil
so
makes
good.
everything.
Yeah,
He's
any Italian makes rice
I'm
balls.
very blessed with
Yeah.
the
Joe
mom cook.
Senior makes the best
Love Joe Senior.
rice ball.
Um,
Big shout out to Joe Senior.
Yes, he's amazing. Matt, so have you, I mean, because I do, not that I definitely wasn't saying that this doesn't apply to men, but I
Mhm.
didn't know if you particular, have you ever had time in that where you were maybe different than you are now, where you feel comfortable going out to eat?
I've definitely, I've, you can ask my wife, like I will go, depending on the training or whatever I'm doing, I can be 20 pounds heavier than I am now, or I can be 20 pounds lighter. When I got sober and all that bloating from like what I was consuming went away, and I went from, I think like 180 something, I went down to like 160, and I was lean.
Oh,
and
wow.
it kind of looked not well, and
Yeah.
people let me know. And when I overindulge, I mean, we have people in our lives that'll tell us, and my wife will tell me straight up, she's like, well, you're teetering. And she's like, I just want you to be aware of it. And I'm like, I'm fucking aware of it.
Yeah,
Like,
thanks.
I'm going to enjoy myself, like going away on vacation, just crumb buns, sticky buns, ice cream every night, just consuming and great dinners, but just that whole idea of like, you should never punish yourself. I follow a couple of really good accounts, but one guy in the city, he's like, if you're trying to lose weight, it's a calorie deficit. If you're trying to do this, and it's, everybody thinks it's a magic pill or a powder or this. And it's just like, you just got to eat right, within reason of like not overtraining, right? Or not, or just completely be like, like I always ask, and this might sound offensive, just in any room, it's like when people gain or they get to that point where it's just like, fuck it. I don't care anymore. And then it's just like, you say, fuck it. And it's like, wow, like you're risking your health, overall livelihood, because like it's hard. And I know there's a mental, there's some mental stuff behind that, and a lot of other things, probably trauma and things that are associated with it, which I'm sure you'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things. It takes like it's like anything in life. It's fucking work. You have to do it, and if you don't, no one's gonna do it for you.
Yeah. So with all that conversation of it, like, Matt can like normalize, right? Going out to eat, and we can normalize, oh, okay, I had a little spurt with somebody, like, okay, so that's our experience, but I know that's not yours. Like, what is it? You told me that, like, just share some of the things you share with me about just the difficulty that we have to always eat, and that, it's just such the struggle for you.
So, like many others, eating disorders start for a variety of reasons. And after tons of therapy, I can talk about it without bawling. But it all was triggered when my mom was killed by a drunk driver in '94. And so after that day, my life has never been the same. My dad was disabled. He had to take care of me by himself. I have no siblings, and my dad was sick. I mean, he died in 2011 of complications with diabetes. So I went from like a normal kind of quasi household to a single dad who was trying to do the best he could, but food was his love language, and we were big Italians, and he just fed me and fed me and fed me, and the food was delicious. No one cooked like my dad, God rest his soul, but food was priority amongst everything. So we'd go out to dinner. Our life was centered around food, and I was a really large child. I was bullied. I was a really, really heavy, like from elementary school. And it got worse as I got older, especially after my mom passed away. And
It brought you comfort, like the food brought you and your father comfort.
it did, because I knew that no matter what, I always had a good meal when I came home. So food was like it made me happy. It made me happy, made me happy to eat with my dad. But I didn't know how to stop when I was full. Like I just wanted to eat to comfort myself. It became an outlet for me to just numb my pain through food. So that's what I was doing. I was numbing. And then around 16, I got into drugs. I started experimenting, and I would go to raves. I was really into like the fun, like electronic scene down in Miami.
I was there, girl.
Yeah,
I
I
was
was like
there.
the
You're probably at the
original.
same places.
Yeah, like the original Ultra and like
Yes.
98 on Miami Beach. Like I was rocking it. And yeah. So I started getting really like into that scene, and I started to lose a little weight. And then I thought, well, finally I'm losing weight because I was still really heavy. And I'm like, well, what if I start doing this alongside of that? Because I really love food, but what if I could just do this and then lose weight? And so I started experimenting with binging, purging, and I started losing weight pretty rapidly alongside the drug use.
Where did that idea come from? Just curious. And
I
then I'm
don't
sorry, you guys can
know.
ask questions
I
too.
can't even tell you. I don't know. I had not learned it from anyone that I had spoke to. None of my girlfriends had mentioned anything. I just instinctively wanted the control, and it's a control thing. And I think that's the biggest misconception with eating disorders, is that I didn't think I was fat. That wasn't why I started my deep dive into that disease. It was, I had no control. I had no control over my mom dying. I had no control over my dad actively dying. I had no control over anything. And so for me, it was the constant need to take back my life in some kind of way. And that's the only way I could do it, unfortunately. And that turned into about 20 years of just absolute hell. I mean, fainting. I remember going through college and fainting numerous times because I just wasn't eating. I'd fall over, I'd black out. I had severe GI issues when I got home with like involuntary vomiting, which happens as a side effect of that because your body involuntarily, your brain is very smart, right? So your
Right.
brain tells your body what to do. So after a lot of therapy, even when I moved home, when I told my father what was going on, he took me to a GI specialist, and I have hiatal hernia. I had a lot of issues with my teeth. So all of my teeth, like literally, it looked like I had been on meth because
Stomach acid.
all the stomach acid had
Oh.
eroded my teeth, and I got braces, and all of my teeth are fake. They're all bonded,
Wow.
all of them, because it was so hard. People thought I was addicted to drugs, and
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not I mean, I was addicted. That was a drug.
It
Food was
your
my drug.
Yeah.
But
And the behaviors.
the behavior was, and it was hard. It was hard to be able to go out to eat, and still to this day, go out to eat and not think about, am I going to eat too much where I want to do something to harm myself? It's a constant thing because you have to eat to live. You can't just put it away. So every single meal, I have to feel good about eating now. And I had to learn to create that relationship where I feel healthy eating something good. And even if it's not healthy, I felt good eating rigatoni bolognese last night. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I just have to
Love that.
learn to love to eat and enjoy a meal. And it's taken a long time to be able to do that.
That's on.
Thanks.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like, when did you get to the point where you're like, okay, I need help? Like, this is a problem.
Good question. I had moved home from college. I had battled with this all through. So when I was 16 through my early 20s, and I got really sick, and I just broke down one day, and I told my father, I'm like, Dad, I know you're sick, but I felt guilty because my dad, I had been taking care of my father,
Yeah.
and I had not been taking care of myself. And I said, Dad, I love you, but this is what's going on. And he immediately was like, we've got to do something. So
The guilt and shame of your mom passing, and then you being there with your dad, and the guilt of you not being able to take care of your dad.
Right.
It's a lot. Then that propels the eating disorder to get worse.
It was awful. I felt like I had no control over anything. And so I met up with someone actually, Joanna Candell with the Alliance for
yeah.
Eating Disorders. We
That's
actually went to
great.
high school together.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I love her. And I started when I first moved home. I looked her up, and before she even had her location, she was meeting at a center in North Palm Beach, and she was doing free therapy for eating disorders every week. And I would go every single week. I didn't miss a week for like over a year.
Mhm.
And she really helped me to get a grasp on it because I had never had the conversation with anyone before. I had never opened up to friends. I had never opened up to relatives. I mean, still most people in my family, I've never even opened up to them because I don't want the shame of going to a restaurant and having people stare at me. And it's like, it
Share
doesn't work
that.
that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. And by you looking at me with that judgy eye, it's not going to make me ever want to go out to eat with you ever again.
Didn't
Like,
you
it's
tell me that
very,
some- Sometimes
people
people-
that, sorry,
Go ahead.
people that you were with eating dinner, or people that were just,
people that I had opened up to over the past
Got it.
20 years,
I got, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Got
they
it.
would like look at me different if we were to go out to eat and look at what I was eating. Look if I were going to go to the
That's,
bathroom
that's what you
afterwards.
told me, the
Yeah.
bathroom thing.
Yeah.
And like, I have to pee just like everyone else,
Yeah.
but you know, it was uncomfortable for me. So I had to learn how to be comfortable with the people I was sitting with because I didn't want to be triggered, and being triggered would cause me anxiety, and then I would do that. So I had to be comfortable with people. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, because like you said, other things, you know, if you're gambling a problem, you don't go to places and don't have the things on your phone, right? You have a problem with drugs and alcohol, you can remove those, but we have to eat to survive. So it is a thing.
Definitely a thing. I don't wish this on anyone. I actually would talk to different elementary schools and middle schools with Joanna as an example of like my story. I would go to different places with her and
that's
talk to
awesome.
her and kids, and it's still foreign. It was so taboo. It's still really kind of taboo. I feel like if I said I was addicted to heroin or I was addicted to meth, I feel like if I said I was in recovery for that, it's more accepted than if I say, yeah, I was bulimic for 25 years. And
Yeah.
people look at me like, oh my God, what is wrong with you?
Mm.
It's just a different stigma.
Yeah, oddly, like I shared with you, and I had to own that I had some struggles in that area. I was in recovery for 9 years, and I had so much guilt and shame that I like
sure.
made myself throw up.
Mm.
And I actually was the leanest and fittest I had ever been, and was the most miserable because I thought once I arrived to this goal weight and to this certain level of physique that I would love myself a certain way, and that was all bullshit. So I have not weighed myself in years. I eat what my body needs, and then also eat whatever I want. But it took like, intense therapy to get to a different place. I still struggle with it though as I get older, and I'm like, oh, this looks a little different. Being a mom of an adult and a tween, things change in the body, and yeah, it's hard to accept and love yourself in all moments as we go through this journey called life.
So true. And another thing about that is that I've always been curvy. I've never, even at my lowest weight in my active eating disorder, I was never like emaciated looking. Like when you see people that are anorexic,
Right.
for example, and they're on Oprah, and you look at shows in the 90s and you're looking at people going, oh my gosh, they're sick, they're dying, they're emaciated. That was me, but I didn't look like that. I was
Wow.
sick. I was still going through that, but I still had curves on me. And so there's no way you can look at an eating disorder and say she has one, because
We
honestly,
don't know.
no one could have ever known. It was like
Wow.
my mistress, just like a drug. It was my mistress. I protected it more than anything. And that's just the honest to God truth. I lied and did things that I don't remember a Thanksgiving dinner that I kept down because I would go to the bathroom. Like, it was a very hard couple of decades for me before I could really just let go.
It sounds like it. I was thinking, with my substance use disorder, my mental health was, as years went on and, time went on, my mental health got worse and worse, where like I would do these things because I had to. And then I would spend the whole time like crying. I couldn't shower. Like, what kind of did your mental health look like for you in, the midst of that? And where is it now?
That's a really good question. I felt at that time that I was drowning. And I couldn't find a way to the surface. I just was drowning. I was going through college. I was working. I was taking care of a sick parent. I felt like That was the only control that I had. And so for me, it was my outlet. So I justified it as, I'm okay as long as I have this. As long as I have my mistress with me, I'm good. I can handle everything else. And then once I started going through therapy, I started crying. And instead of numbing myself with what I was doing with my addiction, I actually had to face my emotions head on and go, you know what? This is not the solution. You got to work through it. Why are you doing this? Why in this moment are you doing, you choosing to eat, 3,000 calories? Like, it's not normal, right? Like, why are you doing that behavior? And then I just had to take a deep dive. It was a lot of journaling. It was a lot of crying. It was a lot of feeling what maybe I just didn't do when everything happened to me at so young.
Yeah.
But now I feel healthier than I've ever felt. And I feel when you have an eating disorder, you're never fully recovered. So they say you're always in recovery because you're still eating. Like,
That makes sense.
eat.
Yeah.
I
of
feel like
course.
that's with most things. Though.
Yeah.
It's a journey, right?
It's a journey. So I take each meal. I enjoy what I eat. I make sure I am mindful with the people I'm with, and I just go on that way. Do I have moments where I'm like, this is not healthy? Like very rare and few between, but I'm honest about it now where I wouldn't be before. Like I'll look at my husband and be like, this has not been a good day for me.
So important.
Yeah. And he gets it, but I never would have mentioned that, or I never would have admitted to that 20 years ago. So it's so interesting how you have to put your tribe behind you that just gets it and then work through it, good and bad. We're all going to have good and bad days. We're not going to be perfect in our recovery process. You know?
No, I agree. We've had clients with eating disorder, and I'm not an expert by any means at eating disorder. And we had a client that needed inpatient treatment, and I remember how sad I was because someone that struggles with substance use disorder or mental health, they can usually get into treatment immediately. When we found eating disorder treatments for our client, all of them were 2-week wait lists. There was not one that you could go into immediately. And I was shocked.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I feel like also people not understanding eating disorder. And is it like, do people think it's not as severe as, say, substance use disorder that someone can wait 2 weeks?
Yeah, some of the scariest consultations or clients that we've had have been eating. Like I talked to this one family, and I was training someone, so I had them listen on the call and shared with the family. The list of what they had done for their daughter at she's only 18, has a feeding tube, prefers being hospitalized because of it's like so far gone, like will not. Just and I took notes of everything that they had tried, and I thought if there was a specialist that was brought in to lead it, like maybe we could support, but it was just so scary.
Yeah.
I mean, people with tubes throwing up in bottles in their bedroom. I mean, the intensity and the severity of some of the ones that we've worked with are really, really
It's
hard.
heartbreaking. Yeah.
It is. It's heartbreaking, and the families to me, there's one problem or the other doesn't make it worse, right? Like every situation is hard, and we all go through things, but the ones that we've talked to were probably the most devastating things I've ever
I
heard.
agree. Yeah.
It's so sad.
Yeah. I love that you because you exude confidence, and you come off as an empowering woman, you connect well with other women. You don't see women as threat like that. That to me is someone who's done the work, right? Like that's just how you present. You show up as a whole beautiful soul,
Oh, thank you. I've had to dig. Can't even talk today. I've had to dig deep in finding my own inner happiness, and I think that's why I love alpha, strong female women as friends that are just powerhouses. I gravitate towards those people in general because I feel like they're not catty. They uplift women, and I am attracted to people like that because I feel like that's what I need to be around all the time. That's what women need. They need to be around positive people. So it's a journey, and if people knew that I had struggled, like so many people wouldn't even believe me. Like
Right.
Yeah.
they wouldn't. They're like, "What are you talking about?" And it it was bad. I was telling my husband the other night, we had mentioned something, and he said something, and I don't want to go through like habits because it's not probably healthy to talk about, but I'm like, God, when I was in college, I would do this. And he's like, he looked at me like, there's no way. And I'm like, you have no idea the secrets that you hold. I mean, just like if you're a drug addict and you were secretive about where you did certain things and how you did certain things, eating disorders are the same way. It's the same coping, hiding, sneaking, lying behavior.
Yeah. Makes you feel worse and worse and worse.
100%.
Yeah, no, I'm listening to this one just because I'm not, like, I've obviously experienced it with friends and people. So it's good for me to listen and kind of how far you've come. So.
Thank you. I feel lucky. I feel lucky that I got help when I really needed it, because if I had not opened up and just broke down, I don't know what would have happened. I still get scared. Joanna has always said, people that have had eating disorders, like long-term effects, you get like osteoporosis pretty young, and you can have heart issues. And there's a lot of long-term effects that can happen to the body that are just not great.
Right.
But I take a lot of vitamins and I try to do the best I can. I had a big giant smoothie this morning. So
I saw you had your big water thing.
Oh yeah,
that thing's massive.
I'm trying to get this in. This
it's hard.
Is my new. It's
not
really.
For me. I drink so much water that I like go to the restroom in an uncomfortable amount for like other people. So if someone doesn't know me and isn't around me, I get embarrassed because I drink I'll drink 2 of these in like an hour. Sometimes I kill water. It's actually not that good. You can't drink too much water. Because when I get my blood taken, I have it's either low protein or too much water because I don't eat much meat. So because I drink so much water and I don't eat meat, that's like the only level that comes off for me. So yeah, you can drink too much water.
That shows up in blood work, too much water?
Too much water or low protein. But if I don't eat meat and I drink too much water, I have to believe it's both.
Probably both, definitely.
So I have a question for you. So what, doing something like this, like talking about this, getting vulnerable, what does that do for you in your healing process? Because I'm just relating to what talking about my childhood trauma and things like that do for me every time I share it out loud. Like, what does it do for you, for anyone that might be scared to tell someone, and how does it empower you?
I think that as a young girl, and that's typically when this behavior starts, it's a little bit younger. I mean, I know people that have struggled as 8 years old, 9 years old with eating disorders. It happens very young. Don't be afraid to reach out for help as soon as you see those behaviors. As soon as something happens, tell your parent, tell someone you trust. You can't live with it because you're struggling silently with something that can kill you. And it is a battle that so many men and women face. It's I don't want to say it's equal. I don't know the stats, but I definitely know there's been a lot of men struggled with eating disorders as well. But
sure,
I will say that get help, talk about it. If you're doing things that are out of the normal or unhealthy, you've got to get help, because the longer you wait, the worse it can get.
Does that help you coming on here today, talking to us about it?
I do think so. I've touched on it in the last 4 years of podcasting, every now and then, but I've never actually gone deep into what triggered me, the behavior, what it did for my mental state, and it really just consumed my life for a long time.
And you had I say when I look at my whole story, I say I had really good reasons to do what I did. You had really good reasons to do what you did. And you could have stayed stuck in that and just been like, you know what? I lost my mom. I lost my dad. That food is my comfort. And this is what you could have just chalked it up and stayed there, but you didn't.
I know that my parents would not have wanted me to suffer like that, because I was punishing myself because they passed on so early, and I thought I don't deserve to live because my mom didn't deserve to die, but my mom died young. My dad died young. I don't deserve to live. So it was this all of like what I deserve, my worth, my self-worth. And so I had to really just learn to love myself. I went through an extensive program in Fort Lauderdale called Self-Discovery, Life Mastery, and I had a one-on-one coach for over 2 years.
Yeah, I heard of that program.
I went through every workshop. I did the work. I invested a small fortune in it, but I did the work. And I'll tell you what, it really did change my life. I had to go all the way back to when I was young and feed that inner child that felt neglected or felt abandoned or felt, we're going deep here, but it really teaches you how to heal yourself with your own mind. And if you find a program, any program that's good, that works for you, or people that you feel connected with, you've got to do it. You just have to.
Yeah, and
Don't suffer in silence. It's not worth it.
No.
And there's not one path to any kind of healing. I think that we, the three of us believe in that. And the work that we do is, what works for you, and we can guide and point people in direction. We know ways that work for a lot of people, but like sometimes it's finding your own path and your own journey and trust people that, that are out there to guide you on that, and it all goes back to childhood for a lot of us, for everybody. Cause as I see my son go across the stage and graduate high school, I'm like, I'm not that, there's no way I'm old enough to have a kid. Like internally, I still feel like little girl Amanda sometimes, or teenage Amanda. Like when I do my therapy, we talk, she goes, what part of you is that? I'm like, that's my teenager. She's actually been rearing her head a lot lately. Like, my teenager knew how to stand up for herself.
Yes.
And was a little sassy. And then my little girl didn't know how to stand up for herself and took, abuse. So to be able to identify that parts of you. And I remember my 86-year-old grandma telling me that, like, how she still felt like a little person inside. Like, you are still that person, right? We're just growing up in these bodies and have some life experience, It all goes back to that.
It's so true. I just had the conversation this morning where I was talking to my bestie who's in town and go, God, we're 42 years old, but I feel like I'm 15 and something. Like I don't feel like when I look in like I still feel like a teenager. It's so weird.
In a good way.
Yeah, in a
In
good
a good
way.
way,
In a
yeah.
good way.
I do too. Sometimes a good way, sometimes a bad way. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Like, we can do a lot of work and a lot of changes, but sometimes stuff will still like, oh yeah, she's still in there.
Yep.
Well, get a bitch Amanda's still in there.
She is. That's for sure.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and being so vulnerable with us.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you and continuing to get to know you and, collaborate with you. You do, you're a beautiful, beautiful soul.
You have to do the thing.
Because you have something?
I have something.
Okay, something that annoys you and then something that's a win. So we'll start with you, Sarah, since you're ready.
Okay.
That has a face.
Hold on. What was mine? Do you remember? It happened the other day. Oh, I know. Okay. Something that annoys me is I was at Target the other day and I needed to go pick up like the drive pickup area, curbside pickup, whatever it's called. And it was full, but no one was picking up. They were lazy. So they parked there to be closer to the entrance of Target. So my annoyance, I texted Matt and Amanda and I was like, all right, I have a new one because Matt's is pushing your cart in. He can't stand when people don't push their carts in.
You have to bring your cart back at all costs, whether kids, anything.
Yesterday, I was actually going to take a video of myself
I feel
pushing the
that.
cart in just to show Matt that I was like a good person,
I used to do it
feel
all the
that.
time now.
So yeah, I just really don't like that. Like there's plenty of spots. Like I was picking up and I had both my kids in my car. So I was just irritated about it. And I just think it's lazy. I think I'll win for myself. It's about myself, right? I always
Yeah, or
forget
whatever
that.
you want, whatever you want. There's no rules here.
Okay. I think a win for myself, I like that, is that I really have seen major growth for myself in the past couple weeks. And just comparison from like previous experiences, just how I'm not reacting, I'm more so responding and really ensuring kind of what we talk about on a daily basis and what we do with our clients is that self-care and love for ourselves, but also the ability to help others, but still putting ourselves first so we can provide those services for our friends, families, clients. And I really feel I hate to say like empowered, but I feel really empowered for myself right now. I feel strong. And I want to keep, continuously working on myself and looking at myself, not other people, because I used to definitely do that.
It's so obvious how much you're killing it. You
I
agree?
feel it. I feel like
Like
I'm killing it. Yeah.
Seeing your growth is just,
Oh,
yeah,
thanks.
it makes me emotional.
Oh,
Really, it's beautiful.
thanks.
It's
I appreciate
powerful.
it. So that's mine.
The guest.
Okay.
So an annoyance,
Yeah,
Mhm.
something just bothers you.
my biggest one lately is stupid pedestrians. Like pedestrians that like
Sorry, I was like, get out.
they think that they're entitled to walk 5, like they don't look when just because you're a pedestrian doesn't mean you don't have to look when a car is coming. It means you still have to look, right? Before
Right.
you'd walk into a street of like moving cars. But it really aggravates me when they just assume that people are going to stop.
Yeah.
And they don't look. And it drives me absolutely insane to the point of no avail.
Okay. Love
Yeah, stupid
Love that.
pedestrians. And then
that. Stupid pedestrians.
yeah.
F them.
yeah.
F them.
And then a win is that on a personal note, I'm trying now to effectively not work on weekends as much as I've used to in the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So I'm making a conscious effort to get the bulk of my work done during the week. So I'm having weekends to kind of relax, which I never really had before. So that's my win, is celebrating what a Saturday is like. And
That's amazing.
it's good stuff.
You
Yeah.
have to have.
Yeah.
Have to.
That's it.
Awesome. Love it.
Now,
Me?
Ladies
right.
first.
All right.
Gentlemen.
Matt wants to go last, I guess. Let's see. So my annoyance is a little deep, but I won't go too deep into it. But mean people on the internet. Like being, like how do you? I mean, I get it. I like I could break it down in a million ways, but like back to what our moms taught us when we were kids. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all, and don't get a pair of balls because you have a keyboard and you're not in front of somebody. And it just baffles me sometimes. So that's my annoyance, and I really pray for love and light out there for people to not be such hateful souls. So that would be my annoyance. Would be my win is that like last week I did a bunch of different things outside of what I normally do, just like going to my gym or doing work out in my garage. Like I did different activities, like I swimming, I tried to wakeboard, I went running outside. I haven't done that in a long time, so I'm trying new things I haven't done in a long time and incorporating new things, which feels really good because it keeps it fun and exciting, and I feel like I'm alive.
Yeah. Frustrating, obviously, the shopping carts. I'm always going to say that.
he's always going to say that.
I think right now it's just the heat outside has been, it's a lot. And I know I live in Florida, so it's been this weekend it was a lot.
Do you feel like it's worse than it's
I
been
know it is,
before?
it's worse. It's just when it hits and you're just like,
Yeah.
really? Like, this is enough.
And we're here for a long time.
No, I
There's
know.
No break till Halloween.
No,
After Halloween.
I know.
Even
it's-
Halloween, you're sweating.
That's
Yeah.
after Halloween. You know that you're
Mhm.
coming up that break.
That's right.
And I think wins, just had a lot of really good conversations and some point of clarity with some people that I care about and some friends and family in the last couple of days. So I think grateful for that communication and being able to voice where I'm at and listen to where they're at, communicate honestly and have no fear of like what the judgment would be. So that's definitely my win for the last
Love
couple
that.
of days.
Within your truth. Well, thank you so much, Janine. How can people find you and come record with you if they wanted to?
Oh, they can go to StellaMix.com or info@StellaMix.com is my email to inquire about podcasting management services that I have. We have a lot of fun here.
Yes, it's
Yes,
awesome.
we do.
It's awesome here. It's great space. Don't have to worry about all the details of that. Like I know what I'm not, what I'm good at, and what I'm not. And one thing would be not doing anything good. So we have you.
I feel that.
I'm Amanda Marino, owner of Next Level Recovery Associates. Please follow Next Level, which is the power behind this podcast, Overcoming Adversity podcast. And how can people find you too?
My name is Sarah. I'm the executive director of Next Level Recovery Associates, and my Instagram is Sarah Ellen Frias, Frias.
My name is Matt Williams, and you can find me on Instagram at MWARWILL.
Ooh, that was like very radio.
He's a good radio
Yeah,
person.
Matt has the radio podcast swag.
Yeah.
Got to figure out how to do that better. Not the design.
I was
how
going to say, do you do graphic? I was
No,
going to
I was
ask
just
if
trying
you
to
were
how to say it like in a different way.
Okay, say it.
I gotta work on it.
All right,
It's out
work
here.
All
on
right,
Yeah.
we'll work on it. Stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.